Hello and welcome back to the channel. On this one we're talking about my trading chart setup. So let's jump into it. Before we get into the details of my chart setup, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do lots of different trading videos, and if that's what you're into, then obviously this is the right channel for you basically. And also there is a link below for TradingView, which is the platform I'm using today. The link down below does give me a bit of a kickback. So if you do get involved, obviously thank you and enjoy. And make sure you stick around to the end as well of this video, because I'm going to have a trading tip just for you. So the chart I'm going to be using today is Apple as well. It's not a stock that I trade much, but it is good, for example, as a kind of a general stock that everyone knows, and obviously everyone can kind of learn off as well. So the first point of contact, of course, is the candles that you can see on the screen here. Most typically they are green and red, green for upside of course, and red for downside. But I've changed my colors as well from yellow to kind of white, because that's the brand colors that I have and have had for quite some time, with a kind of dark blue background. You can change that just by right clicking there and go to settings, and you can go to scales and lines, and you can start changing all that kind of stuff. Symbols, and there's kind of different things you can change here as well. So you can go really in depth with this kind of customization, which I know everyone really likes. Everyone really likes customization, at least I know I do. And if you're not a big fan of candlesticks, I do recommend you learn candlesticks. They tell a different story, especially within charts and the trading. You can just drop down on this candles up here and change it to line, hollow candles, bars. And the only other one I really use is line, more towards kind of long-term looks as well. So if I was to switch to a monthly chart here, it would tell me a bit more of a story for Apple stock. It's just something that looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing when you're doing kind of more basic long-term analysis, at least in my opinion, of course. So the next thing I'm going to add to the chart is obviously volume profile, and you can see it here. It is a paid feature, but it is very useful. I'm not saying it's worth paying for, of course. It's not a sponsor or anything like that, but it is handy for me, at least, because at least if you zoom out, you can get a scale of kind of where the most volume is. So you can see there's a lot of volume around this kind of 225, 230 level for Apple, and obviously down here as well, 170. That would have been good volume even before this as well. So when you're using volume, I use it mainly for kind of buys and sells. So obviously you would expect lots of buyers to come in around this area, or at least some buyers, because that's where the volume shows. So these big institutional investors may set a little bit of a buy limit order here. Obviously nothing's concrete with technical analysis, but that's how I use volume profile anyway. Just going to zoom out a touch, and the next thing we're going to add is moving averages. Now typically I use the 20, the 50 and the 200. The 20 is obviously the blue line, and we've got the white line, which is the 50, and the 200, which is the red line flowing through the screen there. I use these loosely. I think it's just kind of more of a general feel of where a stock is going. It's pretty good for kind of long-term investing as well, so with the 200 moving average specifically. So for here, for example, you might add here for the longer term after the big drawdown, and you would have got some nice gains. Obviously it has dropped down since then, but you would have had some nice gains from there up until there onwards. And that would have been around about 20%, if not a little bit more. On the flip version of that, of course, you can go short. So if you're seeing lots of resistance around these 200 moving average, you can go short, and of course you would have made even more money there, as opposed to the upside move that would have been here. The reason I'm a bit cautious around moving averages is because of kind of price action like this. It's a bit choppy at the moment in the last couple of months. And you can't really gauge where it's going to go just by using the moving averages. I tend to use the moving averages for kind of trend-based movement, and this is not a trend. It's not going in a direction. It's not making higher highs and higher lows, or vice versa. So this is not how I would use moving averages. While we're on moving averages, I have also added the 300 moving average. It's actually a bit of a spot from Kay. He mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on a live stream. I thought I'd add it to the chart, and it is interesting, especially through downturns as well. So you've got lots of clean touches at the 300 moving average here for Apple, and you can go ahead and look at Microsoft, Meta, Google, all the big stocks. They all like to play around the 300 moving average. It's not the most common one, but it's always good to kind of have on your charts. So the purpose of the video, I'm actually just going to get rid of that just because one less line on the screen. And the next one I've got is RSI, and a simple double click on the back here will bring up the RSI. I've got that set up. I'm not too sure how. I think it just does it automatically, but the RSI you can add through indicators in the top left hand corner, and you just type in RSI essentially, and it's the first one there, relative strength index. And of course you can customize it how you want. The settings here, no, not settings there, it's actually settings there. So you can kind of just see it below my window there, and you can kind of change all the different upper bands, etc. I've got them set to 75 for the higher band and 25 for the lower band. And of course, generally, if a stock comes down below the kind of 20 line or 25 line, it is considered oversold. And of course, that is normally a good time to buy it, especially for kind of long-term investing. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but it is typically known for that. And you can see that kind of reflected in the chart here. So obviously, we've come down to the section kind of 20 RSI. If you had bought there, it would have been a good chance to make some money, because you've gone from 172 all the way up to kind of 210 in the space of a few weeks. And obviously that is a good percentage, about 30%. So that's not too bad at all, especially for Apple as well. I tend to only really use RSI for long-term investing or even swing trading as well. So this would have been a nice swing trade, of course. But long-term investing, kind of that coupled with the 200 moving average, if you've seen them both together, then that's normally a good time to kind of get into a stock or kind of establish a position moving forward. And the next thing I'm going to show you is volume. So once again, this is basically baked into the chart when you load up TradingView, so you don't really have to add it. Obviously, I've customized the kind of colors. So the kind of darker gray lines are kind of the sell volume, and the lighter gray lines are obviously the buy value as well. So lots of kind of biased on the day, shall we say. So you can see volume around this area is very, very high, and particularly, I don't really use volume that much for my trading, but it's nice to see if a stock makes a particularly good move, it might be because of a bit of volume. That's kind of how I perceive volume, at least. I know a lot of different traders use volume in a different way, so it could be worth exploring that as well in your trading journey. So the tip I wanted to bring up for the end of this video is actually using the word confluence. I use it a lot in my trading, and here we have an example on the screen here. We've got Snowflake. Obviously, it's kind of made the move now, but really searching for that confluence, and hopefully you can kind of see it on the screen already. But we can see lots of the moving, well, all of the moving averages actually. We've got the 50, the 20, the 200, and the 300, all kind of combining in this area here. Price action came above it, so it broke above, and it came back down to kind of retest that area. We also have a really good volume profile here on the right side. So let me just highlight that with the kind of white circle there. So that area would have been a really nice time to get in. And subsequently, of course, since then, it's gone up really nicely. We'll get a little bit of an info line there so you can see how much it's really gone up to. So obviously, the maximum part was 36%, but you kind of would have taken it up until maybe here, this line here, or maybe even just before earnings, just to be on the safe side. So you would have made a nice 20% on that particular move. So that's really a good tip to use to confluence with your trading. Have all these indicators, all these things on there. And obviously maybe the RSI was looking good then as well. Not so much. So obviously not all indicators will kind of combine, but the more that you have that combined, really kind of implements your kind of edge within the market, so to speak. Obviously it's not perfect every time, but it's just something to bear in mind. So that's it for this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more trading content to help you on your journey. There is a video on the screen now for my physical setups and my laptops, my lights, my microphones, etc. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, click on that, and see you soon and trade safe.